I want to be a present father that every step of the way, like I want to answer any questions that she has. I want to give her the leeway to explore life. It's important to get a full breadth of the emotional spectrum of life, which is why I love film so much. Like I learn a lot about that through film. I ask this question on my podcast in every episode is what's a movie that changed your brain chemistry? And it's those things that creates the building blocks to who you are as a person and how you lay out those rules of life that you want to live. And so I always find myself trying to like show my daughter those films and we can learn about these lessons together that I've learned, but also pick your favorites. Like, what are you feeling about this? How do you want to take this into your life? So parenting is like, it's fun, it's great, it's difficult, like it's a whole beast, but I love it. Like I love being able to be that teacher for her. And I want to like witness every single moment of her life because it's like I'm watching my kids coming of age in front of me.
That's right.
So I dig it.
That's beautiful. Hi, I'm Tracy Donnelly. Welcome to Making an Impact. I'm here with my good friend, Juju Green. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
I feel like I now have just like upped my game as a very cool mom.
Really?
Yeah. My kids are going to be super excited.
Honestly, I'm here for the kids. I'm here for the kids.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So you're known as the movie guy, right? Straw Hat Goofy.
Juju Green, aka Straw Hat Goofy, in many circles, yeah. Like it's so funny. I was just doing like a anonymous questions on my Instagram stories yesterday, and you know people were just sending in all these questions, and somebody was like, "When did you realize that you were the movie guy, or you had to become the movie guy?" And I was like, as much as I like that ring to it, like I don't feel like I'm the movie guy yet. Like obviously for me, the movie guy is like Siskel and Ebert.
Right.
Like when those were at the height of their powers, it's like, oh, those were the guys, and I don't feel like I'm anywhere near that yet. But that's why I always start off my intros and outros with "Can I be your movie guy?" Right. So at this point, I think I'm recruiting.
Yeah, I like that because you're kind of reaching out to the audience, saying like, what is it that gets you the movie guy?
Exactly. It's your choice to make me that way.
Right.
But for me, the way I see it is kind of like Peter Parker and Miles Morales as Spider-Man, how they refer to each other as Spider-Man, right? Not one's the bigger one over the other. So that's why I always ask the question like, hey, I could be your movie guy, but if you have other ones, that's great too. So do I.
Yeah.
You know?
And so you have like a huge following, right?
I do.
You
wow.
do. And
that is real.
It is. It's real. And I was watching a lot of your stuff and I was thinking, how does it feel to be like, you're kind of like a one-man band, right? You have to be on all the time. You don't really get to have somebody else doing it. It's all focused on you.
Yeah, it's very strange. And I'm a very, contrary to my extroverted behavior, I am a very private person. I don't really go out at all. I'm usually like, I always say that my main focus is my daughter. I do my job and then I go home to take care of my daughter. It all like revolves around her, right? So when it comes to the following, it's hard for me to conceptualize that many people like watch me.
Right.
And so I think I've just kind of turned that part of my brain off, like 3.6 million followers on TikTok, like almost 500,000 on Instagram. Like that number is just a number to me, right? Like the only way that number solidifies is when I meet people in real life who tell me like that they watch my things. Yeah. And it's always a shock because I'm like, okay, as far as I know, I'm just throwing out like content and the content itself is just like my stream of consciousness, right? It's rarely ever curated. There's no scripts to it. It's just me talking off the top of my head just about things that I feel passionate about. So for me, the content is just kind of like, oh, let's throw my diary out there of what I've seen. And so it's always nice when people come up to me and say like how much my content means to them or how long they've been watching. Right. And so that's like the only time where I really do feel like, oh, wow, people are actually watching this. But as far as like, you know, everything being on me and like the following and everything, like I do have a team of people, and I struggle in saying team because they're mostly like friends that like, you know, I've kind of met early on. I have, you know, my manager, Dave, my publicist, Paul, who without those two, I would not be where I am. Like I would still just be in my room, just like throwing out videos on TikTok. I've obviously Craig, who's my producer on the show, Ken, who's the editor, who edits the show. And so I believe like that's how many people? Six of us. And so we're all like this kind of like lean kind of machine that, you know, what they are lucky enough, or I'm lucky enough to have them execute any like things that I want to do on a larger scale.
Right.
But yeah, it's, you know, for me, I'm just very much like make the content and then I'm just relaxing
You're not even
for the
thinking
most
about
part,
it.
you know.
So you said a couple of things that I think are really interesting. One, a daughter.
Yeah.
So that's fun. So
Yeah.
how old is your daughter?
She's 8. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
8
That's a
girl.
great age.
Yeah, no, it's the perfect age. Listen, for all
Yeah.
you parents out there, they talk about like the terrible twos and stuff like that. I think we need to get a consensus on what's the best age for a kid. Because, you know, when they're super young, like, you know, you could say it's overwhelming because, like, you know, they're new, they're crying. Like,
That's right.
you're trying not to
Yeah.
kill them or trying not to have them kill themselves.
Yeah.
It's a real life Tamagotchi with real stakes, right?
Yes.
But then when they get to like around like 7, 8, 9, 10, they have their own agency. Their personality is a little bit more solidified. You can actually have conversations about things. But I say 8's the best age because she is still very adorable, still very affectionate, still very curious about the world, and still very much like loves her dad, big daddy's girl. But the teenager is poking out, like, right? Like I've gotten to the
You
point.
see the future.
I see the future. She bruhs me like nobody else.
Yeah.
Like I'll do something, she'll hit me with a bruh. Like I'm like, oh God, here it comes, right? So like I see it, but I'm still holding on to like the adorableness of it. So it's nice to know what she's going to be as she gets older, but at the same time, I still have a window in the back of what she used to be. So eight is like the best age for me.
And do you think she has a sense of like the impact you're having?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever go out and people are like running up to you when you're with her?
All the time. She loves it and she hates it. Because in certain situations, like she does brat. So, you know, she's growing up in the social media age, right?
Sure.
Like we didn't get that luxury. Like I had the privilege of, you know, growing up knowing what it was like to go outside, and then the internet came out, and then like MySpace was a thing. Like so I was on both sides of it. She's fully like
immersed in it.
immersed in it, iPad kid. Like she figured out Fortnite before I figured it out. Like, you know,
Yeah.
she knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. So her exposure to influencers and social media and stuff like that, she understands what that is. And she would, like, when she was really young, she used to introduce me to strangers as the movie guy, which is really cute. It was, you know,
Yeah.
she was like my big
Does she say
cheerleader.
my dad the movie guy or just you're the movie guy?
She would say, "This is my dad.
Yeah.
He's the movie
Movie
guy,"
guy.
right?
Oh, wow.
And so that was always like really cute that she would do that, and she still does that. She goes to school. She tells her friends. Her friends have asked me for my autograph,
Aw,
even though
that's
like
nice.
it's very cute, but it's kind of like, you know. She just kind of speaks of it. It's just kind of like, I don't know exactly what my dad does. I know he's famous. I know he
Yes,
talks
yeah.
to famous people. But she just knows that he talks about movies and people love him for it. And so she tries to get her teachers and her friends in on it, which is like really funny, which makes for very interesting conversations with her like teachers and counselors, because they say, hey, can you come to our school and do like
Oh,
little
that's cute,
career
yeah.
day talks and stuff like that, which I'm more than happy to do. But she's fully aware. But when we're out, like say if we're at Disneyland, she hates it. She's like, I just want to go to Incredicoaster. I don't want these people. And like that's
she
why I
gets
get
stopped. She gets
Yeah,
interrupted in your day, in the
literally
time, and it's
right.
her-
And
yeah.
you know, at some points that could be a little bit of a strain because, you know, what I've always wanted to do was I go to Comic-Cons a lot now, and a lot of times I go for work. Like, you know, I speak at panels and I do content. And I've always wanted to bring like my kids to, you know, check it out, and we can like do it together. And she really wants to go, but now it's kind of like I have to wear a disguise in order to take her, so that way we can do the whole thing interrupted. If I do that just showing my face, there'll be blocks where I don't even move. So I have to
Yeah, you're actually an audience at that point where everybody's in your same world.
Literally.
Like there is no anonymity in that space.
literally like, and this is how I try to stay as humble as I can be, because there's levels to fame, right? Like
Yeah.
for me, I always say I have notoriety, I don't have fame, right? And so whenever I go to certain spaces, like I can move within that space and nobody knows who I am, right? Where versus like a Disneyland or a Comic-Con, like that's like my core audience. So
Right.
like there, it's like 80 to 90% of the people there will probably know who I am. So when it comes to taking my daughter there, like I have to like go through back ways and do all those type of things. I feel like I'm Dwayne The Rock Johnson when I go there, which is weird to
That
say.
could be worse.
Yeah, you know, there could be worse things, but you know, when you want to just chill with your kids,
Yeah,
you know,
it's hard, and you also want to have the balance because you appreciate. your
no,
fan, right?
and
You
I'm very bad
appreciate
at saying
everybody
no.
that's doing this.
Yeah.
And you don't want to say no, and you're
Yeah.
trying to have a balance with your kids. I
Mhm.
think, you know, you can't equate it because of where you are and how you do it, but it's like parents trying to have a work-life
Yeah.
balance or
100%.
trying to understand what it is you do that's keeping them away from you or interrupting their day.
Yeah.
It's on a greater scale, and she's at an age now where it's probably, she has her autonomy.
Yeah.
So she has a decision. She has a place she wants to go and an agenda, and then things come in the middle.
Literally.
Have you had to explain it to her? Like, this is why I stopped.
Yeah.
Like, we have to appreciate people. And
every single time.
How does she take that at 8?
She's better at it now. She didn't understand it then.
Right.
Because, try telling the kid like, oh, we can't go see your favorite like voice actor right now because all these people are stopping, or like, I got to do this panel, or all these other things, or like, scheduling conflicts and stuff like that. Try telling a kid that, they're just kind of like, oh, well, you're just telling me that I can't go. But she's getting better at it now. It's just a matter of like finding those like, in those periods where it's just us together, that she doesn't feel like she's missing out on things because of my job, right?
Well, I think the conversation's the most important thing. Kids about anything, right? So the opportunities you provide to give her a chance to talk about how she actually feels about it, goes back to like mental wellness and overall well-being. Because I think people always seem to dismiss kids' feelings as like, hey, you can, I know you can't do that right now, let's go. But giving her an opportunity to talk about it and then explain like how you had to prioritize something. And it's okay to not get exactly what you want at that moment, but we'll figure out another way for you to have that. I think gives her that space to have the conversation, and then the trust in the relationship. It's like laying a nice foundation for what you can be doing in the future when the conversations are going to be a little bit like you started saying, you're seeing like teenage peeking out, right? So she's going to eventually like want to date or
that's I'm prepping for all of that. I feel like I'm a very lenient parent. We'll see what happens when she's 15, 16. But I grew up being raised by a single grandparent. Like, my parents didn't really raise me. And then when I became a teenager later on, my aunt and uncle then took the reins of raising me, right? So, growing up a huge chunk of my life without a father figure, it really like shaped how I want to be a father, how I want to have those conversations and those type of things. So presence is everything to me. And being there for her just is like my number one priority. And like, so having those conversations and building that relationship up for when she is a teenager, because I feel like, again, I got like a split type of parenthood, right? Grandmother took me when I was like all the way up until I was like 13, 14. And then my aunt, my aunt and uncle, who I would attribute to like everything that I learned as an adult. Like, they helped me like find out what it meant to be a young adult existing in the world, a young Black man existing in the world. And so now that I have those pieces, I want to be like a present father that like through every step of the way, like I want to answer any questions that she has. I want to give her the leeway to explore life. I feel like that's a big thing as a parent to do as well, because, I know people very close to me who did not get that luxury of being able to explore things. Parents kind of cut them off from experiences. So, I would love my daughter to have the experiences of life. Obviously put the guardrails up to protect her from as much pain that she doesn't need to deal with as possible.
That's right.
I do believe that there is pain that we do have to go through, or else how do we develop, that armor like going forward? I feel like every experience is worth something, whether that be physical pain or like heartbreak or something like that. And so, when she does like eventually start to kind of like date and everything, like conversation is going to be like very, very important. Like, I'm not going to say like no dating until you're 20 or you're 25. Like, I think that's ridiculous, but it's important to get a full breadth of the emotional spectrum of life. Which is why, I love film so much, is like I learn a lot about that through film. The ways that I ask this question on my podcast in every episode is, what's a movie that changed your brain chemistry? And it's those things that creates the building blocks to who you are as a person and how you lay out those rules of life that you want to live. And so I always find myself trying to like show my daughter those films, and we can learn about these lessons together that I've learned, but also pick your favorites. Like, what are you feeling about this? Like, how do you want to take this into your life? Like, what's changing your brain chemistry right now? So, parenting is like, it's fun, it's great, it's difficult. Like, it's a whole beast, but I love it. Like, I love being able to be that teacher for her. And I want to like witness every single moment of her life, because it's almost, I know it sounds weird, but it's like I'm watching my kids coming of age film. in front of me.
That's right.
Right. So like I dig it.
That's beautiful. And you said something I think is really important. So you didn't have a traditional growing up, right? You didn't have a mom and a dad like some folks would have.
Yeah.
But you did have people in your life that were adults that cared for you and that provided an environment like this, right? Something that gave you a place to really understand those lessons and grow up. So how, because I work in the world of not-for-profits. I see this all the time where I see generations of people helping raise each other's kids.
Right.
And how important do you think mentorship is and having like a positive role model to help in the development and sort of the vision, the why of, we all have a particular idea of what we want to do. But I think what I always try to come back to for myself, and I always ask other people, is what is your why?
I mean, that's a really good question because I've always wondered kind of like what was my why? And that question kind of comes up, and it kind of the way I respond to it is almost like been the reason for why I'm here, right? The reason why I'm here. But to really like try to like put a fine point on it, like, to your first question, mentorship and how important that is. It's so extremely important. And I didn't realize how important it was until I believe I like graduated college, right? 2016. It was, you look back at the people who put you on that path. And my original path was I wanted to be in the NBA. Like basketball was like a huge part of my personality. Like that was like what I put all my eggs into that basket all the way up until my senior year of high school. And it was because one of the mentors that I had, his name was Philip Miller. He was my drama teacher that I met in my freshman year. And he and I like had this really great relationship where we would just talk about storytelling all day, talk about films all day. And I've always had a love for film, but I didn't realize that's what it was. It was just like, for me, it was the only way that I could connect with people because like a lot of my interests don't really align with a lot of other people's, right? Like, while everyone else is playing like video games and like talking about what dream car they have, like none of those things really interested me. Right. I couldn't even tell you what car like my best friends drive. I could not tell you. But it was during that time where I was realizing like, I had this little tiny anecdote is I actually was the lead in a play, but I was captain of the basketball team. And then one day my basketball game fell on the same day as opening night of the play. Oof. And so my friends and I call this the Troy Bolton moment from High School Musical.
I was just going to say, this is like High School Musical.
It was literally
happens.
like a High School Musical.
All
It was literally that. And I had to choose which one I was going to do. And I ended up choosing the play. And I feel like that was one of those.
Must have been a pivotal moment.
That was a crossroads moment. If I would have chose the game, like I genuinely think I would have been in a completely different spot than right here, right? So, and it wasn't just that, but I chose like the side of my mentor over the side of like my basketball coach in that sense. That's when I became a completely different person. And so, without him, without Mr. May in middle school, who taught me that, I didn't have to fall into the same traps of growing up in Compton and all those type of things. All these were like building blocks that like I look back on and was like, wow, like that these were the pillars that like kind of like held me up and got me to where I am today.
Mentorship, I mean, that's the perfect truth of it, right? It gives you the foundation and the trust and the relationships. And I can totally relate to movies. I talk about this with my friends and I said, sometimes you're not just going to sit down and have like the deepest conversation about a lot of things because I know for myself, I have very limited time. So sometimes I'll have things bothering me or upsetting me about work or my kids or what am I worried about? And I start thinking like, I don't know if I want to fill that space with like all that stuff right now. I just want to have some fun and be relaxed. Then you go to a movie and then you come out and you're talking about it and everything comes out because the emotions that come out from watching the movie, the characters. It's like the movie gives people permission to talk about everything that's going on in their lives.
It's a great way to stand in for like for those characters and like, wherever that's why I like watching movies at like certain points in my life because then like, the way I go about the world like always gets inserted into that particular movie, if that makes sense. Like one of my favorite things to do, or what I used to do, because I don't do this as much anymore, is I used to go to the theater with my friends, midnight showings, and then we would be up till 5 a.m. because the movie would get out at like 2, 3 a.m.
Sure.
And we're out in the parking lot talking about the movie, right? And it's always those, oh, well, what would you do in this situation? Or how do you agree with what this person did or this person did? And, you know, there's which is why I love my question of like the movie that changed your brain chemistry, because then it's like, oh, well, you know, this movie actually taught me something, right? Like I always bring up the movie Spider-Man 2, right? That was like the first time where a character that I thought was just like my action figure, my comic book, the cartoons
like he
that
was
I watched.
impervious, but he wasn't.
He wasn't.
Spider-Man 2.
He
No.
is literally, his life sucks.
And
like,
he's doing all the right. He's like still doing the right things.
his life
at the
sucks
expense.
because he's doing the right
That's exactly
thing.
right. So like
Yeah.
it goes counter to like karma or good things happen to good people. Like he's still doing it, but he doesn't get his girlfriend.
Yep.
He doesn't like everything. He's exhausted.
His personal relationships are just deteriorating. Like his schoolwork is suffering and all these type of things. But, you know, and I realized, and mind you, I saw that movie when I was 12, and I realized, like, you know, as a kid, it was like this is what I'm going to have to do in order to be a good person, right? Like it's going to take that sacrifice, and you don't always get what you want, right? And so I remember seeing that and just having my mind just completely just being like melted and reworded, and it built itself back up again. So yeah, I think like over time, my why became like, how do I connect with more people and get them to connect with each other through movies the way I did, right? Because, you know, growing up, I was really, really bullied growing up, like to a absurd degree. And, you know, kids can be like really, really cruel. So I was like desperately looking for something to connect with them on. And the only thing that we all really had in common was movies. So I was that kid who would watch a movie once and my mind would lock it in and I can recite the whole movie back to you, right? And so I would find myself just watching all these different types of movies so I can go back to school the next day and say like, oh, I've watched everything that you guys have watched, and having those conversations. And I think that's kind of like where that came from. And I didn't realize that's where it came from until I've told the story before a few times, but Ryan Coogler, when I first started like really like, you know, making my name in like social media and like doing reviews, you know, me and Ryan Coogler just started to get a relationship going. This is probably our second time meeting. And he asked me straight up, like, what do you hope to do with this whole thing that you're doing? Like, you're making great videos, but what do you hope to do? And I never knew. In that moment, I was like, you're right. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, as far as I know, I'm just making videos and just throwing them out there and it's fun. But I said, I can't just have that be the thing, right? You know, how do I make it bigger? How do I create something that lasts, right? Because, you know, as we all know, social media is like very, very fleeting. We've lost MySpace, we've lost Vine. Like TikTok has been in danger of getting banned more times than I could count, right? So I was like, what can I do to like actually make this connection with people and these conversations last? And that's where like the idea for my podcast came from, right? And like, you know, talking to these people about their favorite films and recommending movies for people to do that type of thing, right? And so Ryan Coogler, I, you know, give him all the credit in like kind of like starting that idea for the podcast. And he's been on the podcast twice now. We've had really great conversations. But yeah, I think that's like where the why is like, you know, it's all about connection with people, because that's the only way I know how to connect to people, right?
Yeah, and I think it's also saying what we were just talking about and saying, hey, you know, you go to a movie, you get a feeling like it's obvious in all the content you produce, right? Is like your passion behind it, like talking about it. And I even watch like your mannerisms when something really moves you, you know, and I did, you know, I will throw it back at you before we end as to sort of what changes your brain chemistry.
I got time, so we could do it.
But the thing I also think is interesting, like I like a lot of movies that people know or people don't know, but I mean, I really loved this one movie, and I don't know that a lot of people saw it, but it was called Grand Canyon.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so
that's a wreck.
It's a different movie. It's kind of interesting, and I liked it because of the complexity of personalities and relationships, and it had like 3 or 4 stories happening at once, and it had a great cast. It had like Daniel Glover, Kevin Kline. It had a whole group of people in it, Steve Martin, and it was all the way from somebody that's actually a filmmaker but making gratuitous, like violent, crazy movies just to make money, has like a life-altering thing, and then says, ooh, I have to like change the way I'm thinking, or like a mom who's going through like a empty nest type syndrome, and Daniel Glover, and all of them are somehow interconnected and interrelated. And I think that's what I love about movies is the complexity of the relationships, because that's life. And it's not that simple to like say you do this, and that's why I think Spider-Man 2 is great. You know, and it's gonna bring me to asking you this. Are there times that doing this, even though you love it, it's your passion, and now clearly hearing why you're doing it, right? It's you want a connection, and you want people to love what you love. You want them to see it from the vision you see it and why, and like, hey, you might have seen this, but when I see it, this is what I see, right? You want people to see it through your perspective, through your vision. What do you do for you to actually not be exhausted and drawn out, even though you're doing the right things, you're showing up, you're being a good dad, you make nice, good content that's really engaging and fun. Like, what do you do to take care of you, to keep your mental health, keep you healthy, make sure there's enough of you to go around to all the people that want some?
That's a very, very good question. Well, for me, you know, a flaw of mine, a big flaw of mine is that I'm a horrible like communicator when I'm not in person, right? Like I'm a bad texter. Like it takes me a while to get to my DMs and everything. And a lot of it is because like I get a lot of anxiety whenever I see like messages, because then for me, I feel like I'm doing so much at once.
That's right.
And whenever like I do try to answer a message, I'm like, okay, I'm locked into this conversation because I want to give everyone the necessary amount of time without like just feeling like I'm like, you know, high and buying everyone, right? And so me being conscious of that, like I know that if I start texting someone, we're gonna have to text for at least a couple hours, or at least that's how my mind works, right? Like, oh, I'm stuck in this conversation when I have to do all these other type of things. So I usually put it off till later and say like, oh, I'll get back to it later, but then I forget, and then more messages pile up, and then at that point, it's just kind of like
it becomes overwhelming.
It becomes like really overwhelming, and so that's like a big flaw of mine, but to be honest, I like my private time, like my downtime, right? Like obviously like my daughter is a huge, like, you know, as much as exhausting kids can be, she's like an energy booster for me. Like being able
refills
to
your tank.
It refills my tank, right? Like we can go to Disneyland, or like I'll take her to, we went to Chuck E. Cheese the other day, like, you know, do all these things to just kind of like forget about it, because, you know, me coming up on the internet, like it's an oxymoron to be in a profession where you throw your opinions out on the internet, because then it opens you up to criticism, right? And I've gotten both sides of it. I've gotten all the praise, I've gotten all the negativity. I get people who just strictly hate the fact that I'm just doing this at all. But, you know, I know that there are people out there that are just kind of like waiting for me to like, quote unquote, fuck up, or just don't think that I'm qualified to do what I do, right? So, you know, I try to err on the side of not going down those rabbit holes. As far as like, you know, my biggest things that like kind of like help me and what's for me, like I try to hang out with like my two best friends as much as possible. I actually have, sorry, I know it sounds bad. Sorry guys, my 6 best friends as much as possible. Because
the two of you are going to try to figure out who you really are, and then the rest of you can figure it out later.
They're like pointing at each other like, wait, which one is
That's
which?
me.
But I say that because I have like 2 sets. I have my 2 best friends, Mike and Ryan, who I've known since 9th grade. Right. And so we've been very tight. You know, me and Mike bring our kids together. We're both parents now. And like, you know, my daughter calls them uncles, and like, we're just like this. Right. So every time I get to like spend time and hang out with them, it's such a extremely grounding like thing for me.
Because it's you before. It's you. It's the authenticity of you. Right.
Literally.
They see you. They see you. It doesn't, you're not straw hat goofy or anything to them. You're just.
All of my best friends would tell you this. They would say like, dude, like, you're literally just doing what we've been getting ever since like we've known you. Like to them, it's not, the only difference is that every now and then Ryan Coogler or Michael B. Jordan or Tom Cruise will be next to me while I do those things. And even then they're just kind of like, we kind of saw that coming, you know, like, and for me, I'm just kind of like, wow, the faith that you guys had in me from jump. Right. And so, and I got to shout out these other 3, I call him I call him Captain John Smith because his name is John Smith,
Yeah.
but I call him Captain John Smith. But John Smith, Chris Fox, and Chris Statton, those guys, we all worked at Disneyland together, and so we've kind of like been forged in the fires of like the Disney machine,
Right.
and so we still get together to this day. We have a nice, fun group chat, and again, whenever we get together, it's a grounding experience. We're just hanging out, not worrying about anything, and so I try to like have those moments for me, right, where I could just like kick back, cut loose. We can say whatever we want.
That's
like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? I could complain to them about the job and like they'll give me like nice level-headed like advice on the whole thing. But yeah, like as far as like, my mental health and like being in this space, it took me a while to like really adjust to that, right? Like, I've made my mistakes, by way of, coming into this game during the pandemic. I think I was like around, I want to say 27 years old or something like that. And probably like 28, 27 years old. And, social media is like just kind of like, I don't want to say new, but like being a part of social media, like creating content for people is very new. And so, not knowing what to say, what not to say, like, how every single thing you do is like dissected and twisted. Like, sometimes, I would say things that I would say like, damn, that was really stupid of me, like to even like say that. But then sometimes I'll say something where people would just take it in a whole nother direction and then you try to fight it, but the more you fight it, the more it blows up. And so now I've kind of adopted this mode of like, what people say about me is none of my business.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
As long as I know what I'm doing is correct, as long as I'm still, actively trying to be a good person, like that side will always come out.
How did it change for you from being a Disney cast member,
Mhm.
where you're doing all the stuff we talked about and you're there like working, being part of everybody's experience, to being now the guest, having your own experience, and then there with your daughter? Like, does any of it get ruined for you? Like, the little secrets, right? Are you watching to make sure people are doing like the things they're supposed to do there, or are you just immersed in it like any other person?
I feel like I'm immersed in it, but like I know what creates the immersion, right?
Yeah.
Like having been someone who had to be a part of the immersion, like I know what it takes, right? And so being able to go there and like I know a lot of the people who are there too, who are doing it. Like I like to feel it from the other side as well. And then also it's like that air of like, is everyone doing a good job? Like, it's like a silent like judging in my mind, just kind of like, oh, I never would have done it like that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh, nobody's smiling when I walk in here. What's happening, right? So, there is a little bit of business that goes into it. But again, like I love Disney so much. Like even when I worked there, I would like go to the parks like all the time. But there is like, an air of, while I was there, I knew that the only way I was able to go to the parks was because I worked there. Like to afford to go there, to afford a pass and be able to like just go whenever you want. That was like so far out for me. And like I never went to Disney. I think the only time I went was for my high school grad night, right? That was like my first time there.
Oh, was that like for your own, or was it part of the school?
It was part of the school.
It was school,
right?
Okay.
So, and then even with that, like Disney is like so different because one, you're there at night. Two, it's like they decorate it for grad night. So it doesn't look how it usually looks, right? So, being able to work there, it's like I'm experiencing it for the first time and all these type of things. And I'm like, dang, I would never be able to afford a pass to go here. But, now, me and my daughter have passes. We go all the time. And now like, it's really cool for her to like, be like, hey, are we going to Disneyland this weekend? Like, her growing up now, it's already like better than like what I had growing up.
That's every parent's dream, right?
It's the dream.
To be just a little bit better, and you're like, what better? I'm bringing you every week. Like, are we going this weekend? Like,
exactly. It's
that's
like,
wonderful.
Don't want her to take it, and she doesn't take it for granted, which is like the best part. Because I don't try to go all the time.
Right.
Like I try to make it like a special thing. But I'm happy that I could like share that with her. Now I will say that being there is like a guest of honor was like, for the first time, was like it messed my head up because I was friends with a lot of people there, and like, coming back and like being this now, like they're nothing but proud.
So I think one of the really great messages, especially because you do have so many people that are watching you and paying attention to you, is no matter how bad things get, they also pass.
Yeah.
They also do sort of dissipate a bit or ease up so that it could seem like the worst thing at the moment that it's happening. But given the right guidance, the right time, being able to take care of yourself, or, talking to the people that are trusted. That's the things that help overcome difficult situations and things like that. So I know we have to wrap it up. Before we do, is there one bit of advice you can give to, I'm sure there's lots of people out there making content that want to be you and want to be able to do what you did. You took a lot of risks. You left great jobs that were super secure to bet on yourself, and you won, and it was a great thing. Mm-hmm. So what would you say if you had to give someone 1 minute on, like, hey, this is what I would say, how to survive in this world and how to actually get to where you are today?
Yeah. See, usually I would tell people, if you're hoping to get into like what I do, right? Especially if you're hoping to go the social media route of doing that, right? Is the surface level stuff, before I get a little bit deeper, is consistency and authenticity are like the most important things, right?
Yeah, I love the authenticity part too, and it is. And then you show up so people know they can count on you.
Exactly. Like, it's, for me, that right there, I've seen creators, and I know creators where you could tell like their heart's not really in it, and audiences can always tell that, right? And so that's why I don't go in with scripts, because I want my things to feel as authentic and truthful and honest as possible. I want to feel like I'm a friend talking to you in your room about what I like, right? And so I feel like people always like get bogged down with like, oh, like, I don't know where to start, I don't know how to start. And I say, you have a phone, you have yourself, you can start right there, right? Like, it doesn't have to be as clean cut. I started in a corner in my house that my wife at the time, she only gave me one space in the house. It was this tiny rinky-dink corner next to the front door of the apartment, where I just kind of like put up all my art pieces and my shelves and everything. And people would have thought that that was a giant like room or office or something. And I remember I made one video where I turned the camera around and they saw my kitchen, they saw the front door, and they were just like, wait a minute, like, we thought you were, I said, no, I just made the most of like what I could. And it wasn't perfect, and I think that's what a lot of people who've been following me for a while really appreciate, is because they've seen the growth of like, it was very ugly, it was very messy, but then like over time, as you get better, the content gets better, and like the people who truly know you and truly like have seen the authentic side of you, they know exactly like what they're going to get, right? So, but that's just like my surface level, like authenticity and consistency. Like, even if you're authentic and the content is good, people start to tune out if you're only showing up once a month or like once in a blue moon, right? So those two things are really important to me. But I also want to say that like, what people think about you is really none of your business, to be honest. Like, I know there is a level of public perception that we all must keep, right? Like, we all have to be in front of important people sometimes. We all have to treat everybody with kindness, right? And that's why I'm really bad at saying no to people whenever like I meet them. I want to treat them with all the kindness in the world, give them like the time to say thank you, and like actually make them feel like a person and have like a conversation with them, whether that's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But in terms of like, putting yourself out there on the internet, there will be people who will misunderstand you. Like, we're all playing a big game of telephone here, right? Yep. The only thing that you could really do is, what you meant, what's right and wrong. Just keep pushing, just keep moving through it, because at some point, those people will say, did you really mean what I thought you meant? Or did you really say this? Or did you really say that? Or it always evens out at the end of the day.
The things that you actually shared about what could make you successful doing this that I found fascinating is it's the same things that make you successful in every relationship you have. And so you have a relationship with your audience. You have a relationship with people, and you're taking those same concepts that any of us would take in any relationship and applying them to your job. And that's where you have authenticity, consistency. You make sure you show up. You make sure you're real, and that there's good and there's bad. There's ebbs and flows. Yeah. So thank you.
I'm just trying to enjoy the ride for as long as I can, and I'm just really grateful to be in a place where I can talk about what I love for a living, and that people are actually enjoying it. So.
And trust me, I feel the same way. I love every day I go to bed thinking about what I did for the day, and then what I want to do different tomorrow. Yeah. And that would always be my advice: is do what you love. Find a way to find a passion and do what you love, and you did that. So I appreciate it. And you made me a promise when we started this before the cameras were rolling.
Yeah.
You're the one that's gonna.
All right, guys, you've been watching Making Impact. Now, make sure you check out this podcast wherever you get your podcast from, whether that's through Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, even TikTok, even if you're watching it on MySpace. I don't know who you are, but you should probably check it out on there as well. But make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit subscribe, but most importantly, hit notifications to get other videos just like this one.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.